नहीं मैं यहाँ पे बैठ नहीं नहीं सर ठीक है। हाँ वो बहुत छोटी है, मैं बैठना होगा तो मैं इधर अलग बैठ जाऊंगी। वो बहुत छोटी है, फिर वो उस पे ठीक नहीं है। आई कीप स्टैंडिंग, आई कीप स्टैंडिंग।
Yeah, good afternoon. Is it audible online, people? Good afternoon. So, welcome to this seminar on Geography Optional. Myself, MD Rizwan. I'm faculty for Optional and GS Geography, and with me, Mr. Shivarpit and Vaishali ma'am. We are the team of teachers who deal with geography optional subject for UPSC mains. I've been teaching geography for last 20 years. And today's seminar, the purpose of the seminar is to address the issues related to the selection of optional and more particularly about geography as an optional subject in mains exam. So first we'll discuss some important aspect of the topic, and later on at the end we'll take your questions also, whatever you are having doubts in mind related to selection of the optional subject that you can post, and then we'll try to answer your queries. Okay. Now, as you are aware that optional is one of the most vital element of your preparation, not only just on the aspect of knowledge, but it determines your success in the mains exam. It determines your whether you are going to get call, interview call, or personality test call also. It constitutes 500 marks in mains, but this 500 marks, though proportionally it is around out of 1750, it is 500, but quantitatively it is 500, qualitatively it is something like 50% weightage of based on the certainty. If you are able to score good in the optional, there will be certainty about your selection, there will be also certainty about the final ranking. For that purpose, optional is very important. When you prepare for optional, obviously your approach towards optional, I'm not talking about GS, any optional, when you are preparing, the approach should be different. It is not like GS. First, you have to understand, when you are preparing for GS, you are preparing and collecting information. It is more a horizontal and wider approach. When you are preparing for optional, you try to specialize in that particular subject, whether it is geography, history, public administration, sociology, or anthropology, whatever it is. When you prepare for an optional, you specialize in that. You are preparing with depth. You are trying to have certain level of maturity in that subject. So this is a basic difference. That is why the optional preparation requires more intense and dedicated approach. And whatever you invest in the optional, this is going to pay back the return. That is also there. So इसमें क्या है? In case of optional, there is a kind of certainty of outcome. जैसे you put effort in your GS also. But in case of GS, there is a higher degree of uncertainty. So if you are preparing all the subjects of GS 1, 2, 3, 4 papers, but we don't know what type of questions will be asked, what will be the type of marking in that year. Some paper the people are or students are able to score more. In some cases, the students are performing well, but the scores are relatively less. Matlab, I'm trying to say that whatever you are investing in GS, there will be certain degree of uncertainty. But in case of optional, it doesn't go in that way. If you invest in the optional subject, whatever it may be, more you invest, more you will get the return back, right? So for that reason, optional is important. It decides whether you are going to get selected, whether you are going to get a call for personality test or not. It also decides how is your final ranking in the services. Now come to the selection of optional. What optional you should take? Now there is lot of dilemma among the students when they go for selection of a optional subject. There are two sets of criteria generally. The first set of criteria is the student follow number one, what people are saying. Second is what toppers have suggested. Third, how the whether the syllabus of the subject is short or not, right? Means length of the syllabus. And fourth one is the overlap with the GS, right? These are four important things or four general parameter which students follow. First one, what I said is what people are suggesting outside, what toppers are suggested. Then we say overlap with your GS and what are the recent scores or recent trends of the mark. But there is also one important and hidden parameter which generally students do not take into account when they are selecting the optional. That is whether you find yourself interested in that subject or not. Going by what people have said, sometimes it may work, right? But when you are not really interested in the subject and the subject may be short, somebody else have scored in that. But if you are not able to locate the interest in the subject, you are not compatible with the subject or subject is not compatible with you, whatever, two ways it will happen. You will not be able to perform in the subject. Unless you have interest in the subject, you will not be having creativity in the subject, and that gets reflected in your answers. When we evaluate the answers of the optional student, we can identify that this person is really interested in the subject. He has in-depth knowledge about the topic. He is involved in study of the subject, or he has just mug up the information, or it is a superficial way of learning the subject. So that is easily identified by an examiner. If you are interested, it is reflected in the answer. If you are done with some kind of compulsion, you have done with some kind of superficial attitude, that is also reflected, and that is how where your scores in the optional get compromised, right? So selection of the optional is crucial, and it should be a very wise decision, right? Wise. So I'm not saying that intelligent. It should be also a wise decision because it determines your entire preparation. If you have selected the optional that you find interesting, that you find compatible, this is not only boosting your preparation, the optional will always stand as one of the motivation factor throughout your preparation. मतलब ऐसा है, you have to make your optional your strength, not the weakness. अगर आपने ये जबरदस्ती ले लिया है, if you have taken the optional without looking into all this compatibility interest, what will happen? Every time when you are starting your preparation, every time you are preparing for the optional, you find that अरे इसमें तो interest नहीं है, जबरदस्ती आपको पढ़ना पड़ रहा है. And once you are feeling that it is done forcefully, you will not be able to perform in the subject. This is very important. Make your optional a strength, not a weakness. And that will happen only when you select the optional in a right way and which is appropriate for you. These are secondary, whether it is overlapping with the syllabus or not, GS or not, whether it is able to, how are the trends of the score, ये सब बाद में है. लेकिन if you are selecting a wrong optional, forget about whether you are going to cross 300 or not. You will not be able to cross 200 also in the optional subject. I hope you are able to understand what I am trying to say. Therefore, compatibility is very important. So I'll suggest that look at all the popular subject. अगर आपका background कोई optional का है, it is always better to select the optional with that background. If you are coming from humanities, let us say you are with history background, तो आप history ले लीजिए. If you work some 30-40% additional amount of hard work you invest there, you will be able to do wonders in that subject. You are having history, you are shifting to anthropology. मतलब क्या है, आपका एक ऑलरेडी ओरिएंटेशन ऑफ माइंड इज देयर, बट ऑल टुगेदर यू हैव जंप टू अ न्यू सब्जेक्ट, दैट इज नॉट गोइंग टू बेनिफिट. हाँ, प्रॉब्लम ऐसे सब्जेक्ट में आ सकता है वेयर यू आर वेरी from a subject which are very specific and they require lot of technical efforts, etc. जैसे you are with mathematics background, there you can think, because preparing for mathematics, if you are very good in maths, your graduation and post graduation is in mathematics, that too you have done it very seriously during your college days, then you can go with the maths. लेकिन आपने सिर्फ graduation for the sake of graduation आपने mathematics लिया था, you have done it, you have just passed the exam, and that cannot be basis for selection of maths as an optional. क्योंकि maths में फिर आपको 8-9 months आपको invest करना, लेकिन आप thorough है subject में, yes it will reward you, but if you are not thorough during your graduation, then you can shift, right? This is one thing. Second, now come to what will be geography. How will be geography as an optional subject? Let me be clear with this. See, geography is a scientific, technical and logical. It is not abstract. मतलब ऐसे बच्चे जो abstract mindset से हैं, मतलब their mindset is theoretical, geography will not be compatible with them. Somebody who is with the tendency to write stories, write paragraph, write essays, right? इस तरह this mindset is not compatible with geography. Geography always is like where for everything you can question, for everything you can see cause and effect, why, how, where. These things will be answered in geography. It is a logical and semi-scientific subject which addresses the human issues. Applied है, मतलब जब आप ज्योग्राफी पढ़ोगे, you address a climate change, right? Issue of climate जो आपके आसपास है. You are looking at biodiversity which is around you. You say it is a urbanization, you are looking, that is again around you. Population, you are a part of that, right? It is economic activities, you are trying to address that. Agriculture, you are trying to address that. Mountain, plateaus, hills, rivers, oceans, everything that is there, you are trying to interpret logically. आपके आसपास क्या है? I am giving you a simple version. What is there around you? You are trying to interpret it with certain logic. ये क्यों है और ये कैसे बना है? Right? This is what is the crux of geography. Right? So first thing, Geography is logical and semi-scientific applied discipline. Number two, if you look at the benefit, that it overlaps with GS 1, 2, 3. GS1 में directly it is a part of a syllabus. GS2 में it can be a part of your IR, geopolitics. It can be related to what are bordering issues, India and bordering countries, all these things, right? Then regionalism and all that can be there in GS paper 2. Just rough idea. GS paper 3, it is related to agriculture, ecology, environment, disaster management. These are the topics, right? I'm not extending to GS4, though there may be some few things of GS4 also, that is ethics. We say environmental ethics, disaster ethics, that are related to geography, but 1, 2, 3 may overlap hai. Then number third advantage of the subject is it is immersive subject, in the sense that आप इसको जब पढ़ना शुरू करोगे, when you read one thing and you are really interested in the subject, it will open a next door. जैसे आपने एक अर्बनाइजेशन पढ़ा है, then you will read what central place theory of urban settlement. When you study central place theory, it will further make you inquire about क्या इसमें कुछ change हो सकता है, right? Then you have a lost model of urban settlement. So if you are really interested in the subject will keep you busy and immersed in it, right? तो इस तरह का यूनिकनेस ज्योग्राफी हैज, which is not there with, which is may not be there with the other subject. इसमें other subject में हो सकता है because of their abstractness, they will be appearing slightly dry beyond certain point. That is not there with the case with geography, क्योंकि the things appear around you, right? That is the significance of the subject, right? So this is the third issue. Third, we can say that importance or third benefit of this. So three. Number four is that the representation of geography, the language of geography is interesting. How it is? It will be with map, diagram, geometric representation. These are the things that are there generally in geography, that makes your answer more attractive, right? If you are able to adopt this language of the subject, you can score more in the subject. तो आपको ऐसा नहीं कि एक पैराग्राफ स्टार्ट किया और लिखना 200 वर्ड्स लिखते जाना है. You can use certain formats, you can use certain method here to make your answer more attractive and fetch more marks. So how to score in geography is about answer writing practice. So generally the issue of score is 50:50, right? 50:50 का मतलब है 50% geography, 50% it is knowledge, and 50% how you write it. If you are able to balance between this, what you know and how you represent, you will be getting a good score. Why people do not get scores in geography? Because their approach is one sided. Only they are after collecting the information. They are good at knowledge of the subject, लेकिन आप उनको एक आंसर लिखने के लिए बोलो, you have issues with handwriting, they are not able to draw the map, they are not able to draw the diagram, they are not able to represent the thing in a proper format. ज्योग्राफी हैज अ लैंग्वेज. जैसे हर सब्जेक्ट का एक लैंग्वेज होता है, ज्योग्राफी का भी अपना एक लैंग्वेज है, राइट? एंड इफ यू आर एबल टू अडॉप्ट to that language, it will be helping you to score more, right? This is the third important or fourth important aspect of geography. And fifth one is it has all the available resources. Means there are few standard books available for paper 1 and paper 2 that are limited for preparation of the subject, right? So these are the 5 points, 5 benefits of selection of geography. When there are pros, there will be also some limitations here. What are cons of the subject? One is you find the subject is slightly lengthier than other optional. मतलब अगर number of topic if you see and calculate the total number, paper 1 10 chapters, paper 2 10 chapters. Every optional has paper 1 and paper 2. Every optional almost has 10 chapters in paper 1 and 2. अगर सारे मिला देंगे तो generally optionals will have around 250 to 300 topics, right? Geography में क्या है, एक 30 to 40 topic additional are there. that makes, for that reason people will say that it is lengthy. One limitation is slight number of topics, but you can address that. I'll tell you how it is. This is one. And second is you cannot take the subject forcefully. मतलब without having interest in the subject, if you jump into geography, it is like jumping in fire, है ना. आपको अगर इंटरेस्ट नहीं है, please keep yourself away from the subject. You can only perform in geography if you are interested in the subject. यानी आपका अगर mindset ऐसा है, आप you are from, let us say, look at background, you are from technical background, professional science background से है, या फिर आपका कोई logical mindset है where you are having that curiosity, that why, how, right? You are this kind of personality, yes, geography will be compatible with you. लेकिन आप memorization पे depend है, ratification पे depend है, you don't think about what you are reading and why you are reading, then geography is not for that. Ratification part is not there. If you go by ratification geography, you will never be able to complete. It will appear like Himalayas, right? So it is huge. So if you go by ratification approach, the subject is not going to benefit you. Okay? So these are two important issues with the subject that has to be tackled by an aspiration when you are preparing. And see, there will be, every optional will have its own positives and negatives. I have mentioned both, right? What are positives of geography and what are limitations of the subject, or you can say cons of geography, pros and cons. दो issue है, 30 to 40 additional topics, and second, you cannot approach the subject with ratification or memorization. ठीक है? Now, when it comes to how to prepare the subject, there are steps in preparation. जैसे those who have selected it, first is selection of the optional. You have decided geography to be selected as an optional subject. First is prepare your foundation. That will be by NCERTs. Second step is read G.C. Leong, Certificate in Physical and Human Geography. Third, segregation of the previous year question paper. Refer last 10 years, right? You can go beyond that also, but 10 years will be where you see the emerging trends of the subject. So 2015 से और 2014 से ले लीजिए, 14 to 2024 तक you can refer 10 years question paper. Syllabus, arrange the syllabus according to the weightage of the subject. जैसे there are paper 1 में 10 chapters are there. Section A physical geography and section B is human geography. In physical 5 chapters. So when you take geomorphology, जो notification में syllabus है, आपको क्या करना है? Restructure करना है syllabus को. Syllabus has to be restructured according to the weightage of the topic that are there in previous year question. You have to identify where the questions are generally repeated, right? Every chapter has this. So there will be some areas, 5-7 areas will be there where UPSC keeps on repeating the questions or repeating the topic in different format of the question that you should identify. So first is build your foundation with NCERT, then it is GC Leong. Third is previous year question, 10 years I am recommending. And fourth, syllabus, and restructure the syllabus according to the previous year question, and then move to the standard books, right? So standard books, they say first chapter 1 to 5, you can read physical geography by Sabinder Singh. Section B में human geography by Majid Hussain sir, geographical thought by R.D. Dixit you can read. So there are recommended chapters for that, books for this. And paper 2 you can accordingly, sir will explain you about the paper 2. Now, see what is, we are not saying you can prepare the subject by your own also, but preparing optional by own, because optional require specialization, it will take lot of time consuming hota hai. ऐसा नहीं कि आप लोग आपके लेवल ऑफ इंटेलिजेंस पे ऑप्शनल प्रिपेयर नहीं कर सकते हो. एनी ऑप्शनल कैन बी प्रिपेयर्ड, but it takes time. Where the classes will help you, the classes will be helping you to complete the syllabus within a stipulated time, right? That is the advantage. Second is, it will classes will touch all the topics. When you prepare, you don't know, you are not aware what to be emphasized, what not to be emphasized. तो हो सकता है when the topics which are not supposed to be emphasized, you are emphasizing it, right? That will take your preparation in a wrong direction. Just to give example, suppose you are preparing continental drift theory in your geomorphology. Continental drift theory by Wegener, this is there in GS also. आपको interesting लगता है, then you prepare it in optional. In optional, when you are reading continental drift in physical geography by Savinder Singh, you will find some 20-25 pages on these theories, right? And if you prepare that 25 pages and by your own you are doing, and you say that you, and because you feel that all these are interesting topic, you are taking lot of interest and you are immersed in that topic, and this may take 4-5 days also. इसका फाइनल आउटकम क्या है? क्या ऑप्शनल में ये क्वेश्चन आएगा? रेयर है ना. अगर आएगा भी तो 10 मार्क के लिए आएगा. लिखना कितना है? 150 वर्ड्स. बट हाउ मच एफर्ट्स यू हैव पुट? एडिशनल. तो when the student is preparing for by himself, the difficulty is he will not be knowing where and what to be emphasized and to what extent to be emphasized. That you will get a help from the class. Now come to the approach how we will do it. See, classes we are beginning in the month of April. This will go for 5 months. We will have 2.5 hours of class daily, and our approach is to cover the entire syllabus point by point, not a imbalanced way. It is not that teach geomorphology for 2 months, climatology for 1.5 month, and remaining entire syllabus in 1.5 month remain. No, right? You have to have a balanced approach. My thinking and our thought as a team is that you have to cover all the topics. As a student also, you have to cover all the topic. Suppose I teach you geomorphology for 1 month or 2 months, yeah, 3 months also, right? Whatever expertise I may have about that geomorphology, लेकिन exam में इसका importance कितना है? It will be 30 to 40 marks, 35 to 40 marks, that's it. अगर मैं आपको साल भर भी जियोमॉर्फोलॉजी पढ़ाऊं, तब भी आपको मिलना 35 to 40 marks है. And saying that I am expert in geomorphology and I have taught you geomorphology, what about geographical thought then, right? That issue comes with the student. You should not have a lopsided approach. We as a teacher and a team specialize in our area. I'll be teaching most of the part of paper 1 plus, that is physical and some human geography. Ma'am will be teaching bio environmental geography and population studies in paper 1, and sir will be teaching paper 2, right? This is the distribution. We have distributed in a manner that our specialization benefits the student, right? You will have classes, plus you will be having handouts, you will have uh, additional printed material. Apart from that, there will be class test on every chapter, assignment for answer writing improvement. That is, with the topic, as we progress in the class, we keep on giving assignment. Now it's up to you to write and submit and get it evaluated from the teacher. Some students do it, some may not do it, but we emphasize on answer writing so that you are not dependent on these things at the next moment. Geography is about writing answer, and there will be also test for the students who qualify the prelims. Suppose आपने इस साल coaching ले लिया and next year you have written the prelims, you can come to us and we will give you the test as a part of your mains preparation also. So that is something like an extended support after. And you can obviously access us as one-to-one interaction wherever you are having doubt. We want that the optional student, they should have a bond with the teacher, क्योंकि Optional may it is not like GS preparation. In optional, you will face difficulties, and it is difficult for you to clear the things by self. Therefore, it is always advisable to take the help of teachers, right? So this is the format in which we go about the classes, right? So yes.
I'll take up the questions now. So, Chirag Meena says NCRT class 6 to 12th plus GC Long, is it enough for geography optional? Uh, so you'll have to refer to some standard books, and this just NCRT and GC Long will make up a foundation, but it is not going to be sufficient for answer writing in the basic examination. Okay, so especially 6484 in paper 2, you would need some relevance of current affairs in answer writing, and you will have to go through the books as well. I'll complete cover to cover, you don't have to read, but certain topics you will have to go through from the books as well. Questions from you people if you have the questions in mind.
PYQ, and before he's asking for online students, the doubt is that some of the teachers have suggested analyze previous year question and syllabus and decide the optional. ये थोड़ा difficult है ना ये approach, because you don't know everything about the subject. You can have just inclination, you can identify. जैसे आप GS class attend कर रहे हो तो आपको कुछ ऐसा लगेगा कि कुछ classes में आप you can grasp the thing very easily. What teacher is saying, you are able to understand. That can be best method. PYQs and all that will come later on. या फिर आप ये कर सकते हैं only chapters that are there with your GS. जैसे you are learning geomorphology in GS, climatology, तो उसके आप थोड़ा बहुत analyze कर सकते हैं. But that is not a very best way of doing. I can suggest that it is better to find out whether you are having an inclination of the subject by attending the classes of GS. That can be more better, because ह्यूमन ज्योग्राफी है, फिजिकल में तो थोड़ा बहुत आपको टच है, बायो इकोलॉजी एनवायरनमेंट का टच है, लेकिन ह्यूमन ज्योग्राफी के बेसिस पे तो आप नहीं कर सकोगे, है ना? तो आप जो चैप्टर्स पता है, जो टॉपिक पता है, उसमें आप देख लीजिए. दैट कैन हेल्प यू इन डिसाइडिंग. यस यू कैन आस्क योर क्वेश्चंस both online and offline.
So we have so much to study. How do you manage the time? It's also very difficult to find what is important to study and what not. This is the major problem, Adishta, these days, that we have the problem of information overload. So much of material is available online that you will find it very difficult what to exclude and what not to exclude. See, this one is try to identify the topics that are mentioned in the syllabus, and then if you are done with some part of the topic, then you can also look at the previous year's questions, and then you can study accordingly. Okay. इसका कोई formula नहीं है, Adishta. There is no such formula for identifying what all topics are important.
Anyone over here has a doubt?
Just feel free to ask offline people.
We have this program to answer your doubt, so feel free to ask. I mean, even if you feel it's a trivial thing, do ask.
Like, can we go for optional part before completing our GS part?
You can do that. The question is that can we start with optional and then take up the GS? You can do that. See, what happens is, rather, it can help you if you want to utilize your time. What will happen is, when you're only focused upon optional, let's say for 5 months you're entirely focused upon optional, you'll get a lot of time. You're through with the class, 2.5 hours of the class. After that, back home, you'll get a lot of time for self-study. You can revise it very well. Whatever teacher is telling you to practice as previous year questions or the assignments, you can practice that quite well. And then you take up your GS, your optional is sorted. Now you are only focused upon GS. GS is vast. isn't it? So that if you club both, it means that 5 hours is spent in the class itself, isn't it? And then you're left with lesser time for the self study. So it's always, if you have that time span, right, it's always better that you split up your courses, first be through with optional. Many students do that, and then take up their GS. Many students do that. So don't be under the impression that GS is a must for optional preparation. The optional classes are held in a manner that you don't require the basic GS foundation. They are held in a manner like that, that even if you're not through with your basic GS, that's okay. Right? So that's not a limitation.
Adding to what Madam has said, it is advisable that you should be thorough with your optional subject before you start preparing for the prelims examination, so that you are thorough with the answer writing. And if you're preparing for 2026, it is as advisable that you complete the option subject right now, including the answer writing part, so that by the time you hit the month of November, you have the test series for the prelims. And if you take an option subject, then you won't find time to whether to choose between the test series or to choose between the optional answer writing. So you should be very thorough with the optional before you start preparing for the general study. That is advisable. Okay.
Some of our are from 2-year courses. We are going to pay
Then it is advisable to go for the option subject. Even if it is 2026, then it is good for you to take the option subject right now.
Yes, those who are preparing for 26, those who are preparing for 27, for both kind of aspirants, this is the right time. Right? So this is the right time. Do we need to cover there is a doubt. Do we need to cover GC Leong comprehensively? Yes, you need to cover GC Leong comprehensively for your GS. That's needed, and of course that will help you in optional, and that's needed for GS as well.
So there's a question, sir. I'm an old student of Vajiram and Ravi. Didn't clear the mains. I feel that I lack in mine option. Should I change mine option as geography, or should I stick to my old options? Let the marks come out, Mr. Ranveer. So once the marks are out, then only after that you can analyze whether you have to change the option or you have not been able to clear the mains examination because of your GS scores or SS scores. Okay. So only after the marks are out, only then you can analyze.
our class. We start with physical geography. Our class will start from physical geography.
Sir is going to take up that.
We'll start with the introduction part, right? Which will cover like first few days. We'll have the overall introduction of the subject, and depending on, we'll start with that topic, which is where you will be able to understand the things, right? Because it should be a slow transition. In the optional, SNAQ will be introduced with something very abstract initially. We will try to cover those topics first, which are basic and foundation, whether it is physical geography or human geography, because both the part will have some foundation part, right? That we'll try to cover.
Question. No, Harsh, you will have to have some kind of basic understanding of the UPSC syllabus. They could just look at the syllabus. You try to identify what all are the topics in which you are able to develop the interest. See, at least you must have read most of the topics in your school days, geography, history, or let's say political science. You must have read in your school days up to class 10. So you must be having a rough idea about what is the nature of the subject, Harsh.
The classes are going to begin from 20th of April.
Yes.
20th of April. Manvendra online asks that. So we begin from 20th of April.
How we can go with the
Arrangement. He's asking how we can go with the arrangement of the syllabus. See, you have to first analyze the previous year question. Rearranging the syllabus means you have to fix the topic in a hierarchy. which are least important and basic topic, what are conceptual and important topic, what are applied and important topic, right? That will teach you in class how to do it. They say when we begin our course, in the first two classes, we'll tell you how the subject can be or how the syllabus can be rearranged.
Go with the trend. Trend
So
He is asking that most of the people will say that go with the trend.
like for
ट्रेंड
example,
तो ये अब ये फैशन ट्रेंड तो है नहीं, है ना? ट्रेंड तो ऐसा है कि आप ट्रेंड के साथ चले जाएंगे, मान लो आप ट्रेंड के साथ चले गए and you have selected an optional and later on after 2 months you are finding that अरे इसमें तो काफी बोरियत हो रही है ना? तो इसमें डिफिकल्टी है. Trend is related to trend. Who is setting a trend? Trend is set by first 10-15 rankers. यही ट्रेंड है, बाकी का लिस्ट तो कोई आपको देख नहीं रहा है. तो ये जो 10-15 लोग फर्स्ट टॉप 15 रैंक है, वही जैसे टॉपर है तो ही सेट्स अ ट्रेंड. ये टॉपर का ऑप्शनल ये था, लेकिन वो उसके लिए था, आपके लिए हो सकता है, नहीं हो सकता है, दैट इज अ डिफरेंट इशू. सो यू हैव टू एनालाइज योर कंपैटिबिलिटी हियर ऑफ द सब्जेक्ट.
When choosing an optional C, what happens is, like sir has already discussed it with you, you need to have some bit of inclination, right? In the sense, you are going to stay with the subject for very long. Optional requires you to cover it very extensively. Optional also requires you to cover the subject in depth. That means that you're going to stay with the subject for very long. That is why some bit of inclination, liking is needed. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए आई हेट इट एंड देन आई हैव टू स्टडी इट. मुझे नफरत है, ऐसा नहीं, ये नहीं, हाँ मुझे पसंद है. Some parts of the syllabus are going to be the ones which you are more fond of, you like them more. Some parts of the subject are going to be the ones which you don't like that much, right? And that happens with every subject. In no subject the total syllabus you can like with the same amount of degree. So some topics you'll always like more. Once you have yourself decided that you like a subject to an extent, now the trend, see, like sir said, the trend, so that's decided by what's happening to the toppers. I'll tell you what happens. UPSC is an exam which is full of surprises. And when you look at what has happened in the past years, there have been times when subjects have done very well, and then suddenly, without giving any clue, UPSC makes the question paper of the subject in a manner that the subject is a complete flop. It has happened with many optionals like PABAD, etc. So don't be under the impression that if an optional right now is doing very well, that should be the sole criteria for you to choose an optional. The good thing about geography optional is it has performed consistently well. It has not seen the highs of the highs and it has not even seen the lows of the lows. Something has been doing consistently well. It has not been the optional in which fascination because somebody is able to score 300, 350 plus regularly. And it is not even an optional which will make you score too low. So if you put the right amount of effort into this optional, the optional is very much capable of giving you good results, provided you invest your hard work into it. There is absolutely no doubt about it that this optional requires hard work. For that matter, every optional does. This optional also requires, like any other optional, its own amount of hard work and rigor and sincerity by you. That is why the initial prerequisite for you to be choosing is that you must have some bit of liking towards it, because you'll only be able to invest your hard work into it when you have some bit of liking towards it. ठीक है, बाकी ट्रेंड नहीं होता है, ट्रेंड नहीं होता है. For somebody who is novice, somebody who is entering, ठीक है, there's a lot of sound around कि कुछ trend है, but it's a misconception. It has never existed. UPSC is an exam which can surprise you any day, any year, right?
Adding to what ma'am is saying is जैसे trend तो नहीं होता है. We were in the past experience of the batches. There was a student who in first attempt he got into the service, but थोड़ा rank जो है around 300 plus ऐसे rank आया था, and he was having some reservation and he joined IPS. So now this This type of students, they will never be there. They don't set a trend, right? क्योंकि इनका रैंक थोड़ा ज्यादा था, but एक अटेम्प्ट में जब क्वालिफाई करते हैं, that is achievement. And optional, when you are with compatible optional, will help you. In my last 20 years of teaching experience, I have seen what is the positive thing about geography is अगर आपने first attempt में एक set mark benchmark create किया, you are able to raise the optional, let us say 260 marks. Next time when you put effort, you will not get less than this. इतना तो पक्का है, इससे 10-20 ऊपर ही पड़ेगा. You are not going to, ये fluctuation वाला subject नहीं है. Are you getting this? In many subject, what is happening? First attempt, when you have even though very less knowledge of the subject, आप senior से कभी interact करिए, ये आपको देखने को मिलेगा. First attempt, your scores are 280. Second attempt, you prepare more, you have invested more, it has come down to 220, right? This type of fluctuation, this type of uncertainty is not there in geography. It will always be on the positive side.
Dakshanoj, we don't have the law optional course here, so we won't be in a good position to answer your doubt here. After April, we are not very much sure whether we would have a batch or not. Depends on the institute. Administration will decide it.
Ajay, then, but in essays, I'm facing problems with choosing of the optional. I'm interested in geography, but I want to know if this is static or dynamic and whether questions are predictable or not.
Dekho, one, paper 2 that I'm taking is very dynamic in nature. Even the questions related to physical geography, let's say related to monsoon, they have a dynamic aspect to it. So paper 2, you will have to do a lot of hard work on the current affairs, magazines and reports you will have to read. Okay. Paper 1, especially theory part, would largely be static, but if you give examples which are related to the current events, that is considered to be better. Okay.
Baki sir and madam would be in a better position to answer this question related to paper 1.
You require current affairs in certain topics of paper 1 as well. For example, now paper 1, you have chapters like environment geography, biogeography. They do require you to know the current affairs to an extent, because the questions being asked in the examination are coming from applied part of the current affairs. You can't go completely blank on the current affairs, and that's one. Secondly, when it comes to section B of paper 1, again, you need to know your current affairs. So you can't be averse to current affairs and then think of UPSC preparation. I mean, every domain of this examination requires you, be it prelims, be it your mains examination, be it your interview, it requires you to know your current affairs, and likewise for this optional as well. When we say that you need to know the current affairs, it means that thoroughly reading the newspaper would be suffice for you, but doing it daily, doing it consistently, doing it thoroughly. After that, you don't need to do PhD. For example, let's say something related to Indian agriculture. You, of course, need to know what are the new schemes and various aspects related to Indian agriculture which are in news. And that doesn't require you to become an agricultural scientist overnight. So you need to know your stuff, your current affairs. Of course, not become a PhD into that, but don't be averse to current affairs. You need those. Your answers are going to be more value added as compared to your competitors when you know your current affairs quite well.
So one more question, how answer writing in GS and option can be differentiated? As I told you, optional has a language of its own. Okay. So one, the language would be different. Second, you link your answers with the theory part that you have studied. They say if I'm writing a question on paper 2, then I would link it with the theory part that we have studied in paper 1. Plus the language would be entirely different. Okay.
What are the things that we are recommending for us to go?
If you can read through the basic NCERT, 6th to 12th geography, that would be good.
I am interested in geography. I have covered the NCERT, but I am never having go through the books. So still I am hesitant to take geography. There's a fear. I don't know what's that, but what to do, how to overcome it?
There is an unknown fear. All right. So doing the basics from NCERT would suffice for you to be attending the classes. So for classes, you don't need to go through any book at this time, at this point in time. Once the classes begun, Of course, the content will be delivered to you in the classes, and then few topics from the book. If the teacher tells you this topic has to be covered, let's say the teacher has covered the basics, there is something additional given in the book. The teacher can always tell you these topics, this page number you cover from the book. So that's how you can complement what is being done in the class along with the books back home, right? The fear probably is because, yes, this is an unknown territory. I mean, you're going to take up the optional. The fear probably is because you don't know whether you'll be able to do justice to the subject or not. So I think that's pretty common. That happens with everybody. It's not fear, it's more of what lies ahead. The uncertainty of what lies ahead is probably making you a little nervous.
And compare the syllabus of the optional, I find completely different. So that may be one thing
Yes, optional is going to be a lot more in depth as compared to what's given in NCRTs. NCRT is not even the tip of the optional. NCRT is just like taking the baby steps. To run, you need to take the baby steps, no? NCRT is taking those mini baby steps. That's all. That also very few baby steps. After that, the entire content will be built up over a span of 5 months. So NCRT is just the beginning. You are attending the classes. So let's say the teacher tells you we have geomorphology, we have landforms. NCRT will tell you what type of landforms are there.
I find geography very interesting and I want to take geography. But is it going to be different when I'm taking this? Is it advisable to take geography if I find the NCRT very interesting and I want to know more about it?
Did you go through the syllabus of the optional? All right. Some of the topics given in the syllabus must be sounding familiar to you after going through the NCRT. For example, in NCRT, you must be reading about the landforms, the formation of the landforms, probably about climate aspects as well, right? So that is the overlap with the optional now. Even in optional, you'll study all this, but you'll study all this too much in depth, more extensively, as compared to what you're doing in NCRT. If NCRT's interests you, then it means that you have an inclination for the subject. You like it. Yes, the coverage is going to be more extensive and more in-depth in the optional classes, right? So that gives you an initial clue that yes, you have somewhere liking for this subject. You don't dislike it. The subject is not something which you find completely undoable. So that is in place. But as compared to NCRT, lot more reading, lot more studying, lot more. Like I said, NCRTs may not just be the tip. They are even lesser than the tip, right? The subject covers a lot of other things.
Just don't try to answer the question. Don't try to attempt the questions right now just by studying the NCRTs. You'll develop a fear. That is the idea. If you are very thorough in geology, then I would suggest you go through the subject that you have graduated in. So geology would be better. In case you are finding geology a bit difficult, then in that case, you can look for geography.
See, geology is more technical compared to geography. Geography is interdisciplinary. अगर आपका जियोलॉजी में स्पेशलाइजेशन है and you have nearly 70 to 80% of the syllabus of geology. Otherwise, if you are looking for something which is across the discipline, you can go with the geography as a subject.
Again, Arushi, it is better that you take the option right now. Take it. So that by the months of October, or by the months of August, September, you are free for the preparation of a prelims examination.
Sir, how much time should we give for?
Because initially, maximum time should be given to the option subject. Suppose 2.5 hours of classes, whatever is being taught in the class, then in that case, you will have to go back home and revise it
And if we have discussed the question that I usually do in the class on every topic, we discuss the questions. So it is advisable that you please write the questions, try to attempt it, and get it evaluated. So every day, along with the classes of 2.5 hours, you will have to spend 2.5 to 3 hours of your time. Okay, this is what the minimum investment that you will have to make. No, what I'm saying is once you go back home, you revise what is done in the class. Then you look at the previous questions and start writing. Okay. Once you are completed with, once you have done your option subject, then you go for revision. Multiple revisions required before the examination.
So before coming to development plan, what things we should
मेरे टॉपिक में तो कुछ मत पढ़ के आओ. We'll do it with the scratch. Take it from the scratch. We'll discuss it. Baki sir and madam would.
So his question is, before attending the classes, what should be initial preparedness? So here, as such, you can read in NCRT, that is 11th class fundamentals of physical geography. If you are done basic NCRT, that is also fine. We don't need you to be coming prepared with the subject. है ना, वो तो possible नहीं है. Then what is the use of the class? You have to come with familiarity with the terms. है ना, थोड़ा बहुत you should know what is a mountain or a plateau. इतना तो आपको पता होना चाहिए. You should have some basic understanding of the atlas. What is meaning of political map or physical map? इस तरह का जो rough understanding है, that is what is required. Remaining, the subject is, as ma'am also was saying, that when you enter the subject and you take the interest in the subject, you start communicating with geography. Geography communicates with you. ये two-way interaction जब बन जाएगा, जैसे आप एक दोस्त के साथ communicate करते हो, so the subject also communicates with you, and that is how you can progress. So as you were having, some student is having doubt, is having some fear about optional. लेकिन ये fear इसलिए because you are not knowing. It is like a fear of meeting an unknown person. वो क्या होगा, कैसे होगा? जैसे as you progress the relation with that individual, that fear slowly disappears.
Sandeep, well, Ankit, there's no need to join it again. You can talk to administration. They are going to help you with this. If you have not covered some of the topics, you talk to Langovan sir.
so mapping is also
In paper 2, yes. Yes, every day we are going to mark entries. So mapping is a very important part of paper 2 and a very easy attempt as well. Okay, so we'll not have separate classes, but with every topic, we'll mark most of the entries. Okay. So the entries, 90% you should be able to mark if you are thorough with the class.
class notes enough.
Right. Nobody can say that this is enough or that is enough. As ma'am told you that UPSC can surprise you any moment. Okay, so it is advisable that if you are thorough with the class notes, what is being asked you to read back home, then you will be able to score better than the others. This is what we can say. But if you think that 100% preparation is possible, that is not going to happen. Okay.
Harsh, tell him yes.
After class, I'm reading, learning. Vishali, I'm not able to understand this.
Harsh, yes, I think you have quite a liking for the subject. You can go with geography as an optional. You have been into it for many years now. Of course, take it up as an optional.
6400 printed material is given along with the handouts that I'm going to give you.
Anyone else over here would like to ask something? Otherwise, we'll wrap it up.
Standard books, somebody is asking. See, paper 1, standard books are section A. You can refer physical geography. These are minimum required. Physical geography by Savinder Singh. You are referring Geography Made Simple, volume 1 and 2. that is Rupa publication. Then section B, you are referring geographical thought, evolution of geographical thought by Majid sir or R.D. Dixit. And for section B, human geography by Majid Hussain sir. ये दो किताबें हैं, दोनों भी आप माजिद सर की बुक भी रेफर कर सकते हैं. Geographical thought, if you want, you can begin with geographical thought by Majid sir and you can upgrade over, because R.D. Dixit and Sudipta Adhikari language is slightly more technical, and there is little bit bulky book for regional planning that I generally don't suggest, but those who are preparing by self, they can refer regional planning by R.P. Mishra, right? But you have to go with a very selective reading in this. And models and theories, there is, you can refer Rupa series made simple, can be there, and there is separate book of models and theories by Majid sir. ये 3-4 किताबें हैं सेक्शन बी के लिए. रूपा सीरीज का मेड सिंपल वॉल्यूम 1 and 2 will be with us, means most of the topic of paper 1 will be there in that. Paper 2 में
Kuller, DR Kuller, a better book I consider personally, a better book than Majid's book. So, but it is not to be read cover to cover. Like it would be too thorough for you, too bulky for you to read. You won't be able to memorize it. Okay, so it is not advisable to go through this book cover to cover. Just be selective here in Kuller.
ठीक. Any other doubts?
But so take your time. Take it. It is a very important decision of your life. So you will have to spend some time on this. Take it. Think it very thoroughly and select the option as I told you wisely.
Right.
I have Indian and world geography. That's it. To win, the question is not clear.
I think he's asking India and world geography. That I think is a guidebook for GS, combined guidebook for GS. It covers most of the GS part, not for that is Indian geography, Indian and world geography by Majid Hussain sir. ये सिर्फ GS के लिए है, थोड़ा बहुत आप हेल्प ले सकते हैं ऑप्शनल, where it is overlapping. That's it.
All right.
We'll bind it up.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you.